Six Pack Lapadat, and we are back. This is the women's junior recap. Amelia, Elias are back with me as well. The commentators for the junior worlds. You guys were there on the scene. You got all the background stories, all the goods here, and we got some world champions. We got some nations that rose up. So we'll, with no further delay, and just a quick note, like we did last time, the juniors have an extra weight class on them. So in the open, it begins the lightest weight class is the 47 kilo class. In the juniors, the lightest weight class is the 43s. Again, sub juniors are, below 18. Over that, it's 19 to 23 in the juniors. And so these humans are going to be a little bit smaller the younger you are. So the smaller weight class, an opportunity for some of these people to begin powerlifting at an international scene, collect some experience, and then grow into the bigger weight classes by the time they get to the open. So the 43s, just like the 53s on the men's side, not heavily populated, but we will start there in Team Italy with Sarah collecting the gold medal. Amelia, did you commentate this one?
Yes, we were both on this one, I believe. And, a similar story actually to the men's lighter class where, even from nominated, Sarah was in a pretty strong place heading into it. And actually is a perfect example of, somebody who chips away at the squat, the bench, the deadlift, didn't get a world junior record on any of them, but ended up with a world junior total record because of the kilos she added to each one, which I guess she's a total specialist in that regard. So did a really good job there.
That's the best type of specialist you want to be. Yeah, not get a world record in a single lift, but get a world record total. I'm a total specialist. Not only that, grabbing 12 points for Team Italy, which is pivotal. Good point selection, point gathering for the team national team there. And we have 1, 2, 3 from the Philippines, Veronica taking the silver medal, and Karina from Kazakhstan taking that bronze. Elias, any other notes you want to add to the 43s? Relatively small division, just four lifters, or should we move on to the 47s?
I think we can move on. I mean, the
Yeah.
the spread, like when you see a 20 kilo and then a 70 kilo spread, it was pretty straightforward how this was going to play out. But nevertheless, it was a very nice performance. Sarah did break the world junior record, so yeah, really good performance.
Moving into the 47s, and again, Team Italy taking the gold medal. And Marta came into this. Now, she's previously hit, as I pull up, I remember her total drop. She's hit 350 at the European Championship in 2022. And she had said previously on a post, look at, like, winning is above everything. Okay, you become a junior world champion, that's above everything. Total dropped, and why it total dropped, she talked about on Instagram, the scare of her lifetime on the bench press. She comes in nominated, clear the favorite to win, but missed. So she missed her third squat 130, missed her opening bench press 65 kilos, retaking it on her second, missed her second attempt, and having to retake it on her third. And she said on Instagram, this was the most intense moment of her life. Although the heavy favorite to win, and did end up winning with a decent enough spread here. We're talking 30 kilos on an off day, and Marta is capable of more than 345. And I'm expecting her very soon in the future to put up a bigger total. But this, again, became an all or nothing situation for Marta, and finally got her third bench press. Amelia, what was going on here in the 47s?
Well, you know what? It was really tense because not only did Marta almost lose out during bench, her teammate Martina Fortuna, who was nominated in silver, did unfortunately not get a bench press in and therefore was disqualified, couldn't put up a total. So that really opened the podium up for Jessime and Merel of Philippines and Netherlands, because for a moment in time, it looked like neither of the Italian girls were going to put up a bench, which meant that gold and silver had suddenly opened up to anybody, for anybody to grab, which, you know, I think the back room must have been pretty unnerving for the Italian team there for a hot minute. But
have number one, number two, and literally both of them about to be gone, and the national team points was about to fly out the window. Oh my God.
And, you know, and like both on bench, and, you know, with Martina coming out first for her third attempt and missing it, unfortunately, not getting a third bench in, being knocked out of silver, not being able to put a total up. And then for Marta to come out after, knowing her teammate had unfortunately bombed out, and going, okay, well, this is, like you said, most intense moment of her life. You know, this is really all or nothing. You know, I get this and I've pretty much secured gold if I get a deadlift in, but if I miss it, I unfortunately follow in the footsteps of my teammate, and it's gone from a 2-person Italian podium to no Italians on the podium, no Italians with a total. So it was a really tense bench press session, and luckily she managed, like you said, to get that third bench press in, and her deadlifts were a lot less drama. You know, she got all 3 deadlifts, luckily, but it was a close one for a while there.
Yeah, it's individually was an all or nothing thing for her. I get this, probably going to get the gold medal. I don't get this, literally bomb out. But even Team Italy and the pressure that I would put on Marta, knowing, all right, this isn't just for me, but Italy as a whole had number 1 and number 2. That's 12 points for the nation and 9 points for the nation. One of us has already bombed, and I'm about to bomb as well. Like, this is the intenseness on it, and the coaching staff. You know, usually the coaching staff is trying to calm the lifter and, okay, be easy. We're okay here. You got to think when Marta's even looking at the coaching staff, they got to be wearing it on their faces like, oh my God, one of us bombed and another one's about to. And that's literally the number 1, number 2 nominations. The intenseness back there, I'm sure Marta's not lying. She's just a junior, but already she's faced adversity. When she finally gets to the open, it'll be like, all right, I've been around the block. I've tasted some adversity. Elias, what are your thoughts here? Team Italy losing some valuable points that could have been towards their national team, with one of their lifters bombing, but still grabbed 12 points.
Yeah, but honestly, even like I can't really see, even if she hadn't bombed, where would have put that on the total? I'm not sure if she was nominated second, but I'm not sure if she could have clipped it, because Merel and May from the Netherlands and the Philippines, they were at 315 and 312 and a half, and I'm not really sure if she could have kept up with them, so to speak.
I'll crunch some numbers here, but yeah, interesting.
So I think she would have, like, if she had her 57 and a half bench press, I think that would have put her at 297 and a half. Or wait, just
I got 302.5, but to your point, would have been off the podium.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not the 9, like, wouldn't have put her into silver, so they definitely did not lose 9 points. But to your point, it's
like, you know, they were probably expecting 57.5 to only be her opener on bench and end off.
Of course.
So yeah, things shook up. but yeah.
And there's, regardless whether it was those 12 and 9 points or not, you know, Italy came second to France overall in the team points for the women. So that could have been the difference between them coming away best team or not, because it was 54 for France and 46 for Italy. Not to jump too far ahead there, but those points were valuable, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you lose 12 off the hop if Marta bombed. And even if her teammate finished off podium because her total came down from the nominations, whether it's 9 points or however, she's got no points.
Mm-hmm.
You still collect points. It got a little sticky for a second there, but team, it all's well that ends well. You got yourself a world champion. You got yourself 12 points out of it. And Marta showing some character there and being like, all right, everybody, settle down. I'm going to right the ship for Team Italy. In Italy, the Italian flags were waving when the medal ceremony rolled around. So that's how it finished. Moving into the 52s, and we had a historic battle. How historic, you may ask? Well, Joya from Lebanon. This is the first junior world champion, I believe, from Lebanon. Obviously, later on in the men's in the 120s, they collected another. But I think this is the first, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that in the DM, so it's not a fact here that I'm throwing out. It's what I'm being told. But Joya with a 428.5. I won't get into heavy in the details because we'll discuss with you guys. And Cami from France with a 425.5. A great Cami, the defending world champion. And this was a battle of the 52s. Now, how competitive is that as I pull up my notes here? 430 won the 2021 World Championships. Joya hit 428.5. Both of these ladies, 417.5 in 2021, took silver in the open. So both of these ladies in 2021 would have taken a silver medal if we dropped one of them in there. And even as recent as 2022, 438 won and 423.5 was silver. And that's South Africa 2022 in the Open World Championships. Joya hit 428.5. Cami, defending champ, hit 425.5. Just to give you how competitive these two ladies are. Again, I was talking to Cami in the DMs because I'd met her at Silent Worker Meet and a couple of these world championships. And I'm like, hey, wow, great performance. Hats off to you. She's obviously disappointed because she lost her world title. And she's like, it's my final year as a junior. Like, Cammy, you're leaving the juniors already with a world title. You already won a world title. When you enter the open, you were immediately competitive. Now I get it. The 52s, Megan Lee Smith from New Zealand just posted up an insane total at their nationals. Evie Corrigan is now from the South Africa Worlds I just mentioned. Now she's a 52. Noemi, I get it. 52s are blowing up. Seka from Serbia, they're blowing up. But by the time she enters into the open, she's got a few more months left. These ladies are immediately competitive. Were you on this one, Elias? Were you calling the shots on this one, calling the plays?
I definitely wasn't calling the shots. Amelia,
not calling the shots, calling the plays.
No, but it was an incredible battle. When you take a look at like the complete competition, there were neck and neck throughout the whole competition. When you looked at the projected totals, like from start to finish, it was really, really close. And it came down to the last pulls. They both pulled world records, and in the end, Joya clipped it and won by 3 kilos. So it was an amazing battle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And she won by 3 kilos. She actually could have loaded up less and still won it, but Team Lebanon opting. I mean, you have that conversation, and they went all in and decided we're gonna take we're so close to the world record for deadlift as well. And this is risky. I don't know if I do this, but with one lift, you can take the world record deadlift and win it. It's not a lot more, but it's gonna be more. Or
the thing is, I don't. So she was ahead 3.5 kilos. So she could have done. She could have done 182.5.
That's right, a kilo less.
She could have, yes, 1 kilo less. So I just think she felt like 1 kilo is not gonna make a difference. It is a world deadlift record. And like you said before, burn all the chips, go hard or go home. And she did it. She knew she could do it. She did it. So yeah.
And that's it.
Can't say.
Yeah. It's risky. So here it is. It's like it's risky because at the very top end, 1 kilo could be a hit or a miss. But on the flip side, you're at Worlds and you feel inspired and you're like, listen to me, we come all this way. It's 1 kilo. If you're telling me I can win the world title and for at the cost of 1 kilo more, I could take the world record as well. I mean, this is a conversation you have to have with the lifter, and you'd be like, and you're the national team coaching staff. You're like, listen, you better be sure because you could cost us team points as well. But if you're both like, look at, I've obviously they're more attuned to the training if they've hit this before and what they're pacing, the expectations going in. They're like, no, I think you should have this. If it means a lot to the person, they're like, no, I want this world record and the world title. We got this. Don't worry. You hit it afterwards. You look like Babe Ruth calling your shots when you're pointing out into the stands, right? So, I mean, some national team coaching staff won't even give you that option. They'll be like, I don't care. It's 1 kilo more. You're loading for the win, not a kilo more. Some national team coaching staff will take it off like that. Others will be more liberal. They've seen your videos. They've talked to you. Even beforehand, you had the discussion. Look, I'm good for this much. And then when you get there, it's like, look, this is the same amount we agreed I'm good for. Give it to me. I want it. I want it all. I'm being greedy right now. It's only 1 kilo. We got this. It is what it is. This is sports. I'm glad it went their way and not against them because then they were like, oh, you shouldn't have loaded that kilo. But sorry, go ahead, Elias.
Yeah, I just wanted to say 2020 hindsight, right? If
Right.
it would have gone wrong, everybody would have said, "Oh yeah, it
For
was a
sure.
stupid choice. It was a stupid choice. You should have never have done that, right?" But then when it does go right, you're like, "Wow, inspirational."
I know.
You didn't only went for the win, you went for another world record as well. Congrats to you. But if it goes wrong, like everybody's quick to point fingers with, "Oh, I told you so," or maybe like, yeah, it's
Because
Yeah,
she gets to walk away with 2 world records and make history. What do you think, Amelia?
well, on that, something I actually said to my brother yesterday, not related to powerlifting, but related in this moment, is an idea is always stupid until it works, and
Right.
I think this is a perfect example of that. And it's really interesting because both of the women had, incredible totals that they put up, and Joya, didn't even have the best day she could have. She got 1 squat in, she didn't come out for her last bench, got all 3 deadlifts, but I know it's what you put up on the international stage that counts more than anything, but looking at her nominated numbers, she had a 150 squat, a 100 bench, and a 187.5 deadlift, so a 437.5 total. So what she's clearly capable of generally is more than what she showed, which just shows how much further she can push herself and Cami in the future as well. Really exciting couple of lifters there.
Yeah, the thing with Joya, so she previously was heavier, weighing around 55 kilos, not a full on 57 kilos. She was in the 57 kilos, but she was a small 57, but she didn't cut. So there was kind of her total came down and she, to your point about struggling a little bit on the bench press, not coming, or sorry, on the squat, now coming out for a third bench press. I'm not sure if it was, you know, the more the day goes, the more you have time to put in more water, eat more food, and recover from the weight cut. So by the time deadlifts rolls around, she's got the biggest deadlift we've ever seen in history. But early days, fresh off of weighing in, squat was shaky. The bench press, yeah, I'm not even gonna come out for my third. So a bit of energy conservation after the cut. So it'll be interesting to see, does she stay 52 and move in the open as a 52 and continue cutting and be like, we're okay, or grow into the 57s?
What's really interesting as well is that if Joya was to compete this championship's just gone as a 57, with that total that she got as a 52, she would have got a silver anyway in the 57s.
The big difference between silver and gold, though, love.
No, I know, but with those extra 5 kilos of body weight.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. It is. Yeah. The big thing looking ahead into the open is the jump between. Well, I mean, now that Evie Corrigan's there, I was gonna say the jump in total because these ladies in the 57 Open with Jad Jacob and Natalie Richards, they're deep. They're getting into the 500s now. However, Evie, as a big 52, like she didn't weigh in the 52s, but she just posted up 484 as a small 57. She didn't cut for the New Zealand
Yeah.
Nationals. So I mean, I don't know. It's a tough. I don't know. You know, when you're Joya, you got your world title. It'll be interesting to see if she decides, let's throw, to your point, let's throw on body weight and see what happens when we throw on body weight. Or do we continue to cut just a little bit,
Yeah.
for a
And
little bit
it's
longer?
because, you know, even Megan Lee Smith, who came in at bronze in Malta, incredibly strong. As you said, at Nationals just a few days ago in New Zealand, she squatted an unofficial world record, I think 172.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Yeah, it's
Which
crazy.
is huge. And I think she benched near around 100, 97 or 100 and pulled around the 180s. So really big numbers in both the 52 and 57 opens. And I think anyone heading from juniors into opens is going to have a tough job of catching up, but they have the time to do so. You know, very rarely you see people go into the juniors or in the juniors competing the opens and can make up that gap. And we do see people do it, but it's less often, you know?
449.5 kilos, Megan Lee slip, or sorry, lower and five. Yeah. 449.5 kilos, Megan Lee Smith. I mean, it's freaking it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy what they're doing right now in the 52s. I don't even know. Megan Lee Smith, Evie, Noemi Aliber, all of them in the 52 Open. It's going to be nutso. But these ladies, they're pacing well themselves. Elias, anything else you want to add? Or
Yeah, well, like you said, Joya was like 55 before, and I think Evie inspired a lot of lifters, I think, for cutting a little bit of weight, making that like she really did that hero cut, and it paid off, obviously. And I think like we're gonna see some more of that, I think. And with Joya still having one more year as a junior, she can definitely gain some muscle and then do like a slightly heavier water cut maybe and stay as a 52. Maybe she goes 57, I don't know. Because as Amelia said, she would have gotten a silver, and as you said, silver in gold. But if she can build that muscle, let's see what her total can be in the
she could turn it
57s.
into gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. And also not only can she possibly turn into a 57, she might possibly go open. She has a year as a junior, but Jad Jacob is a junior as well. And we've seen other people just be like, you know what? Now that I've won my junior world title, I'm going open. The
Why
goal
why
was to
not
collect.
both? Why
You
not
can do
both?
both. If you're comfortable with that turnaround, everyone's a little different. And I know the French are used to competing several times a year, and there's a lot of them that can do this. It kind of depends on the lifter, but you're right, it's a possibility.
I think it's easier for the lighter weight classes, especially for the women, because yeah, the weight classes are lighter than the men's, and like they get away with higher frequency than, for example, if you would ask Jesus, yeah, you wanna do like worlds and then worlds in 3 months later, like he'd be like, nah, man, like no chance. But for in her instance, I can definitely see her do both. Didn't Jad Jacob do juniors and open last year or not?
Yeah, she
I'm not
did.
sure.
But
Yeah, she did,
she
right?
did. However, she did, but it might not be an example you want to use because she ended up getting injured and the turnaround was too quick. She regretted the decision.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing too. Another factor with Joya, it depends on how bad, like how tough the cut is. We're talking about the cut. So cutting too close in between sometimes might be like, hey, look at, I'm gonna cut
But now Worlds is spaced out way more than last year. Last year it was maybe 1 month. So you had South Africa in June, and then Turkey was
August.
what was
August. Yeah. I
So
think
it's
so
the
that's
same spread.
it depends on the lifter, depends on how things
okay
are going. Like, we'll see. I mean, and then Euros. Euros is getting moved, but there is going to be a
yeah
Euros again in like
in
6 weeks. But
March yeah
moving forward, it'll be in March. So we'll
yeah
see. It shakes up. Look, for some lifters, it's okay. For other lifters, it's tough. I also want to throw it out. Casmiana Montenegro of Italy getting the bronze medal, a sizable 25 kilo spread between Lena from Kazakhstan off finishing off podium. So she gets that bronze medal and 8 points collected for Team Italy, which is, I mean, the Team Italy women collecting a lot of points, particularly in the lower weight classes. But there is the 52s as we march on into the 57s. And Great Britain's Helena Decker, or sorry, not Great Britain, Germany's Helena Decker with a 4:45, taking the gold medal with a sizable lead here, only missing her third bench press. I had some people in my DM saying, "You're sleeping on Helena Decker from Germany." And then afterwards, people in my DM saying, "I told you so." Well, eating my crow right now, Helena rising to the occasion, becoming a junior world champion, and but a fairly dominant performance here, over 20 kilos spread over the Swede, as well as Tori Laperriere from Canada. What are we looking at here, Amelia? The 57s.
Yeah, I mean, if you even just look at the totals that there were, like you said, Helena was 22.5 kilos in the end in front of everyone. She had an excellent day, a huge talent. The real race was, because she was so far ahead, between second and fifth, I think it was, there was 2.5 kilos between them, more or less the whole time.
That's
And
crazy.
it is wild. And a lot of these girls, 4 or 5 of them in the A flight of the 57s, missed their opener on elbow depth. You know, it was a really strict session. And you know, it tripped a lot of people up. It meant kilos were lost, especially because actually what ended up being a 5-horse race for that podium, for silver, for bronze, started as a 7-horse race. You know, it was really anyone's game, who would be silver, who would be bronze. And unless Helena missed 2 or 3 lifts, that was more or less hers. She was absolutely incredible. But it came down to those deadlifts. It came down to making sure that the coaching teams made the right decision, making the sensible decisions, adding kilos, matching other athletes. It was a really, really exciting session to watch, because it wasn't just have the best day you can and build your total, which is what you want to do. It was also, well, let's keep an eye on these 6 other athletes, the jumps that they made, see if we can match them. And it was close right until the end, you know, with 5, I think, out of 6 of them making their final pull for those podium positions.
Yeah, for 2.5 kilos to separate 4 lifters is crazy. And 2 lifters having the same, like 2 lifters having 422.5, only body weight separates them. 2 lifters having 420, only body weight separates them. Super close. Elias, did you commentate on this one?
yeah I did and Amelia already did like a very good job at summarizing. The thing that really stood out to me in this session as well was the strictness in elbow depth. We saw a lot of overturning by the jury. We saw a lot of strict calls. So that definitely shook up the well, the overall placings for sure, but it affected everybody. So it wasn't like 1 or 2 people that got called on elbow depth. No, like almost everybody was being called out for elbow depth. So it was a very interesting competition to look at. And as you said, I think going in, so after squats, the nominations, I think second and ninth position had like a 7.5 kilo spread. Then after bench press, it was more like second and seventh place, and then unfolding into the deadlifts, it was second and fifth place that actually only with 2.5 kilos apart. I mean, how much closer can it be, right?
Yeah, and someone who did a really good job of kind of keeping calm after missing their bench opener was Ida Therese Lindberg of Switzerland. Sweden.
Sweden.
Sorry, Sweden.
We'll take her. Switzerland will take her.
Amelia said it. She's ours now. Sorry, of Sweden. She did a fantastic job pulling into silver on that last pull on body weight, as you mentioned, ahead of Tori. Went 8 for 9, got really all 9 lifts, but got called on that first bench on her elbows, and did an excellent job of, like we said, doing what you can, building that total, and pulling that final deadlift to get yourself in that position. And, although only 3 athletes can sit on the podium, those being Helena, Ida, and Tori, a huge shout out to Caitlin Baxter of Great Britain and Michelle Guirado of Mexico, because those were the other 2 lifters who stayed in the race the entire time until the end. It was really anybody's game who would get silver and who would get bronze that whole time, and that's great.
Also, like after squat, heading into bench press, I think Ida was projected 10th or 9th, I want to say. I think 9th maybe. And then heading into deadlifts, she was projected 7th. So to clip that second overall, before the competition, she told me her training wasn't going well. She had some, like, she wasn't feeling it. She wasn't feeling strong. She wasn't confident. She thought she might not end up on the podium. But then in the deadlift, she really clipped that silver medal position, and she was over the moon, and so she should have been.
Looking at this, so Tori from Canada, who ended up finishing on the podium, going 3 for 3 in the bench press. And that really made the difference for her. She's got a monster bench press. She ended up actually winning bench press gold. And to your point, Elias, where all the ladies are getting called on elbow depth, overturn calls, etc. Tori going 3 for 3 and collecting the gold medal in the bench press really laid down the groundwork for her. She also went, overall going 9 for 9. So she hit all of her deadlifts as well, finishing with 422.5. And it's Ida Therese from Sweden with the bigger deadlift. She can out deadlift Tori by 15 kilos. And whenever that's going to happen, she has the ability to load up exactly what she needs to win. Ida being lighter just has to tie Tori and split the difference on body weight and take it. And that's exactly what she did. Loaded exactly what she needs. Caitlin finishing off podium, missing her last deadlift. I think they actually, if she hit her last deadlift, because she's heavier on body weight, she would have tied Tori, but finished off the podium as well. Tori, though, lifted after Caitlin. So it's a bit of, you're just loading up as much as you can, but Team Canada would have adjusted. I mean, it's, this is the problem. When you could deadlift more and you get the deadlift afterwards, you load up exactly what you need. When you deadlift first, you're flying a little blind. You're going to load up whatever you think you can. But on that day, regardless whether Caitlin would have had it or not, Tori was going to come afterwards. But all the teams doing what they could, loading up what they could. But it's tough. It's tough in that bench press event if calls get overturned. And when you could bench press to the proper depth and go 3 for 3 like Tori did and collect that gold medal, you entered the deadlifts with all the kilos you needed, and it helped. And
on kind of the bench press depth there, I know that a lot of lifters have been trying to do their best to work around it, maybe with some t-shirt adjustments. And I have heard whispers of perhaps that being made less possible. So, if you're able to adjust to the elbow depth I would start now instead of looking at the t-shirts, because I've heard whispers of them trying to cut down on that. So it's going to get harder and harder, but they did a fabulous job of overcoming that. None of them bombed out because of it.
Sneaky, huh? Let's move on to I've heard this say, move on to the 63s, and Team France collecting another gold medal. Ludovin from Team France with a 5:02, becoming the world champion in the 63s, but it was a battle as Alba Bostrom from Sweden. She's been at several world championships. She's a junior, but already a veteran at the international scene, finishing just 2 kilos below with 500 kilos even, collecting the gold medal in the bench press, silver medal overall. And Elias, were you a part of this commentating team?
This time, no. So this one, Amelia did. I did watch it. So I was backstage for most of the session. It was like Ludwig, like she had an amazing performance. I for a moment I thought, like after her opener and squat, I thought, what is happening? I thought she was not going to be able to make up a total, because as I was looking at it, I thought it was a strength issue. Luckily, on her second attempt, she did get it, because when you open with a world record, you feel confident, right? You
Yeah,
feel confident. You're like, training must have been going really well. She opened with a world record and she missed it on her opener. And I remember like everybody was looking at the screen, and when she missed, like it was like you heard like a universal sigh, and then it was that quiet. It was like, and then when she got to her second and she got it, like everybody was like obviously cheering, was clapping, and everybody was very, very happy she got it. But she really did give us a scare.
Yeah, it
Amelia, what are you
was
thinking?
it was pretty intense, as Elias said. It's you see people open on world records all the time, and it's you always are excited, you always kind of question it, you're like, that's pretty risky, because let's see how that moves. A lot of the time you probably want to secure it on your second, so you think that they must be pretty confident in it. But we saw athletes on the men's side who opened on or tried to open on a world record on squats, and unfortunately bombed out because of it. So we were definitely a little bit nervous, but she came back, she steadied herself, got it on her second, unfortunately missed her third squat. So it's good that she got that in, not only a huge squat, but the world junior record, and then managed to continue to add kilos from there. And it's a good thing as well, because Alba Bostrom of Sweden only ended up 2 kilos below her on total, and Ludovine weighed in at 63 kilos on the dot. So she needed the kilo advantage there.
The other thing that really stood out was, have you seen her reaction from Ludwig? Like after her first squat, like she did not get up, and she just took out her mouthpiece and she was like she did, like she was like, no problems, I'll be back. Like I have 2 more shots at it. Like it was like I was so like, did she like, is she actually this confident like coming out for a second? She brushed it off as if it were nothing. So really shows like a killer mentality. And yeah, because a lot of lifters would have like opening with a world record, missing it can really get into your head. It can mess up your second and your third. You just brush it off. You know what? I got another shot. New beginning. Let's do it.
Well, you essentially have 2 options then when it happens. You can either fold and crumble and think, that's it, pack up, I'm going home after missing it, or you do what Ludovine did and you say, all right, that's happened. I can only move forward from here. And only one of those mindsets is going to be helpful, you know, and to be able to do that is another story. Like to be able to brush it off, incredible, you know, mental fortitude. But there are two options when it comes to that. And to be able to choose the more helpful one of that happened. I can only move forward from here. You know, it shows real resilience.
I also think, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The thing I was gonna say, like she weighed in at 63 flat. So I can imagine she did cut a lot of weight because she is a tall 63 lifter and she is jacked. She's absolutely jacked and tall. So 63 is gonna be hard. And maybe this is what shook things up a little bit on her squat, like the drop in body weight. So let's see what she can do at Euros. Maybe cut a little bit sooner. Now she knows the impact. Yeah, I'm excited to see what she can do in a few weeks.
On the flip side, Alba Ballstrom just 2 kilos off the mark, like you had previously mentioned, and was saying, you know what? A bit of an opposite story. Thought she might have played it a little too conservative early on, trying to. I mean, you want to go 3 for 3 in your squats. You want to get all your benches in. She missed her last bench, but you want to build that total. However, at the end, looking back, she's like, I mean, 2020 hindsight, obviously,
Hmm.
but she's like, you know what? We probably could have been a little more risky with some of these attempt selections. Now, difficult to say, and it's always easier looking back on that. And but these ladies will clash again, and only 2 kilos separated them. And I think
And
Alba's got more in the tank. Ludovine, to your point, if she cuts and it's a little easier cut, maybe she doesn't go 1 for 3 in the squats. Maybe she goes more. So these totals on both these ladies might shoot up.
Yeah.
and Alba also Ludwig pulled for the win. So Alba was like after her third, she was in first place. And she was leading by 17 and a half kilos. So as you say, maybe what was she a little bit too conservative? I don't know because she does not have the biggest deadlift. Ludovine has, so she always has the final say. Um, I think she actually played her cards pretty well. Did she have some kilos left in the tank? Maybe, but like, yeah, that's 2020 hindsight, my man.
Yeah, you could tip over. You get greedy
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, feeling great. That third squat moved amazing. I think I would have had 5 more kilos. You load those 5 kilos and maybe it doesn't go as you might have thought, right? So it's
yeah.
common for lifters to think that, look, we're gonna have more clashes between these ladies. And when 2 kilos separates them, the next clash is gonna be a big one. Euros is gonna be exciting to watch. And Team Germany collecting more points here, 42.5 for Isabel from Germany. And Spain after that, a decent spread between Germany and Spain finishing off the podium there. But and Team Germany again collecting more points. Germany got a solid junior team, and Germany I think is a nation on the rise. They're further back than Italy, Spain, I think in terms of progress, but they got some shooters in each class. Are we ready to move on to the 69 kilo class?
Yeah,
And
I think so.
actually, I think it's worth mentioning as well that Immaculada
Mhm.
of Spain in the 63s did try for a world junior deadlift record, I think, at
Oh, that's right.
216.5, but unfortunately missed it. So actually, a huge deadlift from the Spanish lifter there, and shows as well that Ludovine's last deadlift, she could have gone for that deadlift record because from memory, her third pull actually moved pretty well, but a great example of choosing to win the war, not the battle.
That's right. No, that's a good note there. That if she needed to, some chips might have been in play if the totals got a little heavier. Go ahead, Elias.
And they were second and third overall as well. So Ludwig came in second, Alba came in third overall on the good lift points. So incredible performance from them. And Alba still has one more year as a junior. So let's see what she can bring next year.
That's crazy, man. That she's still because she's been in world. She's like been on the world scene. And she's like a seasoned veteran, but she's still young
Yeah.
and got another year as a junior. Moving into the 69 kilo class, talking about some of these French shooters. Team France, number one and number two, and Samantha Eugenie with a 527.5 kilo total, with her teammate Buchu from France with a 525.5 total, and Samantha Eugenie with that monster deadlift, 225. She's going to have the final say, and that was the advantage she needed. But if you're wondering, put a pin, I'm going to throw this to you guys, but put a pin in the 527.5 and the 525.5, how those would have stacked up in years previous. 530 in South Africa won the Open World Championship by Chandler Babb. And Samantha put 527.5. Previous years as well, in 2021, 535 won gold, 532.5 won silver, 512.5 took bronze. So Samantha Eugenie, as soon as she goes into the Open, an immediate contender here, and as well as her teammate. So in the 69 kilo class, and Team Italy coming in with the bronze medal. Amelia, what are we looking at here?
I mean, it was clear that France was going to walk away with gold. It was a question of, which lifter, and it was really close the whole way through, with Andorina walking away, breaking the world junior squat record twice with 195.5 on her second, 198 on her third. And honestly, their lifts were pretty similar all the way through. Andorina with a slightly bigger squat, Samantha with a slightly bigger bench. And then again, their deadlifts, both big pullers, but Samantha with a slightly bigger deadlift really meant it was back and forth the whole way. Similar to the 63s with 2 kilos in it right there at the end. It was anyone's game. Like I said, it was going to be a French gold, but we didn't know who it was going to be. And then even the fight for bronze was pretty close between the Italian, American, and Hungarian lifter. But with Noemi Fanton of Italy just managing to kind of pull ahead a little bit there, managed to keep it on, even with the not the strongest day. I think she went 5 for 9, 5 or 6 for 9. So it'd be amazing to see what she does when she has a fantastic day. But it was an incredible fight to watch between the two French women there.
It's incredible. Like you said before, France is killing it globally.
Oh, yeah.
You see the 69, so you see the 69s, right? So you have Samantha and Andorina, 527.5, 525.5. Clara Perrault with a 530 total world junior record total. They are all from 2002. So they have 2 more years, like all 3 of them.
It's crazy.
Still have 2 more years in the juniors. Clara won the world's Open with the 530. Now Samantha and Andorina just a few kilos underneath. So we have 3 French lifters in the 69 that are posting up world records or very close to world records, and they have to compete each other at nationals to be able to go to either Euros or World.
I imagine that's a really exciting session at the nationals. Just quickly though, I think Clara didn't win Open World. She came bronze overall, but she did incredibly well in the 69s as a junior anyway. But she did podium, and another French lifter, Leah Bavois, obviously won.
You like I was about to say, of all people, oh, by the way, because we're talking about the junior 69s. Oh, by the way, when they go into the open, how competitive is France? Well, Leah Babo is waiting for you. Like the French nationals, to make the French national team, if you're a woman, you got to be like ungodly strong. If you're in the open, God bless, you got to go against Leah Bavois. If you're in the juniors, you got to go against Clara, Endarina, Smith, Eugenie. I mean, they're all freakishly strong. It's just in a murderer's row at the French national level. And and these ladies are becoming rivals just within France, having just to get through to make it onto the French team. And Team France going against Team France, I'm not sure how they split the coaching duties, but doing a great job here with Andarina taking that chip in the squats with a 198 world record squat. So it forces, they end off with a 525.5. Now, Samantha Eugenie has to load up with 225 and finish off with 527.5, 2 kilos more in terms of total because of that chip in play. Because it's interesting because she weighed less.
Yeah, way less.
Yeah. Yeah, and imagine Bushu not being there, right? So if she wasn't there and Samantha did not have to just load to win, like only 5 more kilos, only 2.5 more kilos, and she tied the world records. 5 more kilos, she would have broken it. And she has a monster deadlift, and I don't think 225 was her limit. I think she had a little bit more left. So yeah, I think Clara, Samantha, and Andorina are going to have amazing battles up ahead for another 2 more years.
It because Samantha weighed less, she could have just equaled 525 and won it on body weight, but that chip pivotal, forcing her up. And that's where those chips, man, those chips come into play. If you're a good coaching staff, I mean, you're eyeballing those chips and you know what they could do. And 2 kilos more when it comes to like at your top end. But to your point, she probably had more than that and she loaded what she needed. But Smith Eugenie, 66.6 kilos weighing in, not far off 63 if she wanted to, but she's young, probably looking to grow into the 69s. And as she does, as she adds more body weight, that total is going to go up as well. So Samantha Eugenie, she's got room to grow in the 69s. So we'll see what she does with it. And also still a junior, has more time in the juniors. Her future's bright, that's for sure. Now let's move into the 76s again. It sounds like I'm repeating myself, but these are just the facts. France, more shooters on their roster as Laura Motolin retains her 76 kilo junior world title, missing her third squat, missing her third bench, finishing with a 540. Now, Laura, I'm not entirely sure what's going on there because her total dropped from previously, and she's a junior. So usually you think the rate of adaptation and everything, the total's going up, not down. I also seen her in the gym post up a 570. That's a gym total leading into last juniors. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the training there. Maybe she's dealing with some injuries, etc. But I think her top end, if the planets align, the moons align, whatever, the stars align. Sorry, there it is. Third time's a charm. Trying to get my expressions right. If the stars align for her, she'll have a big total. Is it good enough to compete with Jessica Bittner, Agatha Shitko, and Carlina? I'm not sure. But she could press into the late 500s if the stars align for her. But they haven't been lately.
Yeah, I think there's some stuff going on behind the scenes there. So putting up the total that she did was incredible, even with Ellen Gronlund of Finland on her tail. And I think Ellen would have been a lot closer if she got her third bench and her third deadlift. It was really on Laura's tail, that entire time. But, just going on to the open 76s quickly, like you said, you mentioned Evie weighing in as a light 57 for nationals. Carlina weighed in as a light 84 for her nationals, the same weekend. and put up a huge, huge total. And, you know, it seemed like her squats and her bench were really easy for her. I think she missed her last deadlift, but it was a huge total she put out. So the standard of 76s in the open is huge, but with Laura and Ellen and Agnes even looking like the future of the 76s heading into it with years to grow to add muscle. And as you said, Laura's had more on her total before. There is plenty of room to catch up and plenty of years to do so as well.
We'll see what she does with it. I'm not sure what's plaguing her, but to your point, the standard in the open is massive. Carlina can go 600 plus in terms of total. Jess, we already know, won the world title a couple times over, and she'll be into the late 500s. And Agatha is now, Agatha, to her own surprise, like, look, I'm thinking I'm turning into a freaking deadlift specialist.
Yeah.
She tripled 500 pound 501, 227.5 kilos. The standard in the open 76 is extremely high. Laura can be in the mix. She can. She absolutely can. And a year ago, leading into juniors, when I seen her total 570, and I was talking to her in the DMs when I saw that, and I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, yeah, I can, on a good day, I can add on to that. It hasn't hit the platform yet. We're a year later, and the total's gone down, not up. I don't know what's going on there, but she's young enough to pull this around. I want to see her pull this around when she enters the open. I want to see her pull this around and have France in that conversation in the open.
It's worth mentioning as well, amongst these women in this flight, obviously Laura won, but both Ellen Gronlund and Agnes Rudin squatted 200 kilos, and Georgia Sylvia Burton just missed 210.5 for the world junior squat record. So there's some huge squatters in the 76s in the juniors as well. And, with a lot of them having another year or so left in the juniors, it's exciting to see where that goes, because it can only go up from here, really.
Agnes, who previously won the junior world title as a 69 kilo lifter, her previous 69 kilo total, the best, and this is before the bench roll, and she's got a monster bench press before the bench roll. I mean, she was 120.5 as a 69 kilo lifter. She had a 496.5 kilo total. Bench roll came in, and she took a hit. Her bench press dropped way down. She lost about 10 kilos off her bench press, and her total suffered as well. Since moving up to the 76s, though, totaling 525. I mean, the move is done her well. Sometimes people move up and you don't see instant gains. Agnes hitting instant gains, taking a bronze medal and back onto the podium. So let's see what she does as she continues to grow into the 76s. And because she didn't have to cut. So she's got some room to spare. We ready to move into the 84s?
I believe so.
Let's move into the 84s. And we'll let you take this one, Amelia, because these are the 84s. We got back-to-back Great Britain taking gold as well as silver. But what can you say? We've seen an absolute monster deadlift, 253. Amelia, talk to me here. It closed in style. That's a monster deadlift in the 84s.
Yeah, absolutely huge. And the 84 kilo nationals between Love and Melina is always really exciting to watch, because they're both so strong. And they really ran away with the 84s, with a huge 42.5 kilos or something between third and second, I believe. And yeah, Love went 8 for 9. She missed her last squat, which I know she was particularly emotional about, but ending on a 253 kilo deadlift is absolutely huge. And I think she's got another year left in the juniors as well. And that is a deadlift that can rival, open lifters easily. But the person she took that record from was Amanda Lawrence. So that was Amanda Lawrence's deadlift record.
Oh, okay. Well, Earl of, if I'm not mistaken, is the biggest deadlift in
British
period
women.
in British. Okay, with the British women and tested. And also, to your point, she's getting like she could be a contender. She's got another year as a junior for
Yeah.
that biggest deadlift period in the IPF. Or, well, I mean, because Amanda Lawrence has taken that before. Jessica Bittner's taken that before. Who knows what she develops into? And talking to her in the DM, she's like, you know what? I think I got more in the tank. That wasn't my best of days either. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got another year in the junior. She's a contender.
That 253, if anyone listening to this haven't seen it, go and watch it. That was not top end. And it's absolutely crazy. There's always a battle between her and Sophia kind of in biggest deadlift in Britain for the women. But yeah, it comes close to what was before the biggest deadlift in the IPF for women. Obviously, before Natalie of Australia in the
That's right.
84 plus made a huge 270 something, I think, deadlift in Malta. Absolutely massive. But as we said before, she's got a birth year of 2001. She had an incredible day, and she's squatted more than that before. So as you said, she's got more coming. And Melina as well, with a huge bench of 122.5. Again, a huge squatter and deadlifter as well. Unfortunately, going against Erlov with the 253 deadlift doesn't leave you too much to catch up with. But saying that, she totaled 530, so actually not so far. I mean, 35.5 kilos below Erlov, but with that difference in the deadlift, it's still an absolutely huge total from her. And then Antara Jackson from the United States coming in at bronze with a 492.5 total, so nearing that 500 mark as a junior as well.
Yeah, it's also when you look at the subtotals, they are even after bench press. So heading into deadlift, when you know you have a monster deadlift like that, you already know like I can perform. And I think this must have been like my favorite lift of the event. If you remember, yeah, if you were in the room, I remember she was about to come out and the room was like super loud, cheering like extremely loud. And then when she came on, like she was slow pacing to the platform and the crowd was going more insane. And she was just like closed eyes, just like off to her side, like her hands. She was like, come on, give me some quiet. Like, I don't lift like this. Like the storm is within, but just give me some peace. It was like, calm down. And the crowd turned silent, completely silent. You could have hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
She sets up, she grabs onto the bar. She takes her last breath. And right as she begins to pull and the bar breaks the floor, the crowd went wild. And as you said, it wasn't even top end for her, but it wasn't easy by all means.
Yeah.
But I think she had a fair bit of kgs in the tank. She locked it out, and then the rest was history.
Spectacle to watch. And she does the same at nationals. She's a very low energy lifter in that way. She comes on and everybody's hyped because she's such a big puller and everyone's like, look at all that weight on the bar, we want to be excited. And she just says, puts her hands down, she says, calm down everyone, I need to be in the moment for this. And as you said,
money, right?
Yeah, Joy again is loves to come on in a bit of tongue-in-cheek energy, gives a wave to the crowd, blows a kiss or whatever it is, wants a bit more calm. And with Joy, it's like, okay, the crowd can calm down, but there's to be a little bit of buzz. But with Erlov, it was like Elias said, you could hear a mouse. It was silent. It gave you goosebumps. And then as it broke the ground, a roar like thunder, honestly. And it was, as you said, it was a real moment to be there. And I'm excited to see what her, Melina, and Tara all bring kind of in the following years.
like there was like the crowd, so it was just all chairs like at the same level, right? It wasn't it like in Malta that it was like going up.
Mm.
Just everybody in the backside, everybody was on their chairs. Like everybody were standing up. So
Really?
the front rows just standing on the ground, and then all the rows behind, all rows on the chairs with their camera up. Like, can I get an angle? It was yeah. That I think that was my favorite moment for sure.
See, this is why you have to have the people who are at the event to give this kind of perspective, to give this kind of. You could watch the stream; it doesn't show. You don't get to feel like this. You weren't there for the energy. When you get people on the street on the podcast that were at the event, I could say like, "Let me tell you about this lift. Let me set you the scene for what this really was," and they could break into the details like you just did. It's yeah, it's different, man. When you were there and like
Yeah.
this was special.
A lot of the times, it's just the nations, like the lifters nations that are
Mhm.
like going wild. Like, yeah, there will be some other nations like cheering for sure, but not like going wild, right? And then when everybody goes wild, doesn't matter which country you are, if everybody is going wild for that particular lift, you know it's gonna be a good one, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, we're just a bunch of people who want to see other people lift some heavy stuff, and when it gets to that, we get pretty excited. A great example of that as well is, at Sheffield, like the stream was amazing and they did a great job of that, but the energy in that room, for example, for Jesus's last deadlift, or just before they all came out and all their pictures were flashing up and everyone had their lights, like it it is amazing to watch no matter where you are in the world, but the electricity in the room when you see it firsthand for Erlof's deadlift, for Jesus's deadlift, like wherever you are seeing a spectacle of lifting, can't be beaten.
I agree. I agree. Moving on to the 84 pluses in Ireland, got one here with Listus. Absolutely phenomenal talent, Listus. But on this day, missed her third squat, missed her third deadlift, and an opening bench press. So it wasn't entirely her top end. I think she's more well capable to go deep into the 600 kilos in terms of a total. She can put up some. Looking at her training, she's put up some monster lifts in prep for this. You meet her in real life, and she's like straight out of a comic book. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, from her hair to her build to her energy, period. I mean, she's an energetic person. She brings a vibe to her when she enters the room, and she is legitimately Marvel should cast her for one of these movies as a coming in, and she would fit the role. Listus grabbing the world title nonetheless, and grabbing 12 points for Team Ireland, and Ireland's got one here. And Amelia, how about the 84 plus and Listus?
Man, as you said, Lissus is an incredible force, not to be reckoned with. She looks like a superhero and she lifts like one too, and she didn't have the most perfect day and she came out of it, I think, pretty bummed about how the day went. Even Silent Worker, which she did a few months ago, she kind of walked through and still put up a monstrous total, sorry. And even on a day that she doesn't consider her best, putting up a 590 total is insane, and she lost a few kilos here and there, but it just goes to show what an incredible talent she is. And she's moved up from the 84s, has stopped restricting herself because she is tall, and she's muscular, and now is in the 84 plus, weighed in at 95.4 kilos. So allowing herself to eat into it now. And man, she's only going to get stronger. And she's added so much to her total in the last year alone. And it doesn't look like she's slowing down with a 142.5 bench. She's an impressive force.
And
Sorry, go ahead, Elias. You go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to say like she's fairly light as well. She's only 95 kilos. She has a lot of room to grow still. And I think yeah, like you said, she did not have the day she was expecting to have. And even on an off day, she's quote unquote only 25.5 kilos off the world record. So she still has Euros. She still has a chance there. And she has another year to gain not only kilos, like she can gain kilos on her body weight. She can try to have that perfect day and put up an incredible total. And I think she's really in contention for that world junior total record.
Yeah. And
So you go ahead, Amelia.
I was just going to say, it's worth mentioning as well. I know it's easy to get carried away with this just because of how amazing she is and how incredible the performance she put up was, even on, not her best day. But Charlotte Worley of New Zealand, who came second, with a 5:10 total, and she, I've heard, just 2 or 3 weeks out, suffered a pretty bad injury, I think. So came anyway and put up an incredible total, managing to walk away in silver. We know Listus was pretty much walking away with gold, even probably with her openers. But, Charlotte came after what was really hard lead up to the comp and put up a great total and walked away with silver medal and 9 points for New Zealand, which, is fantastic.
Yeah, shows a lot of heart there, and I am glad she showed up and collected a silver medal, no less. And to your point earlier, Amelia, in terms of the progress that Listus has made, I mean, previously 5:45.5. When I say previously, we're looking at February 2023. 5:45.5 was her best. At Silent Workers, she did 5:95. I mean, she is making all types of crazy gains here. And her when she did the 5:45.5, she was 89.5 kilos. Silent Worker, she was 96 kilos. So she's put on, to your point, Elias, body weight, and it has served her well. And if you're wondering, I met Listus in person. All right. This is not fluffy body weight we're talking she's put on. She's jacked. She will humble you, sir. She is a unique outlier of a human being walking around. Some of these people, you see them on the stream, you see them on social media, it doesn't do them justice. And then when you meet them in person, you're like, okay, no, there's a difference between you and other humans. You're special. There's something different about her. And she's still young and going to put on more and more kilos onto that total. I mean, 595 is still her PR total. She's got more in the tank. I promise you this. She's a world champion now, and whatever, she solidified the win. She's got more kilos in the future. I mean, I don't know how much bigger she's going to get. I think I don't assume a whole heck of a lot bigger, but she's going to start adding on more and more strength as she's acclimatizing herself to around that body weight. I don't anticipate a huge jump in body weight, but the strength is going to start coming.
Yeah.
When she puts together a 9-for-9 day, she'll be deep into the 600 kilo range. How deep, I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see. It's exciting stuff, man. I'm glad this is around, because if you meet her, she's got some flavor to her. She brings that to the table. She's got that energy to her. I love when she comes on, the different colors. She'll come on with green hair for, Ireland and the whole nine, man. I'm glad she's around. I'm glad she's doing worlds. I'm glad she shows up at Silent Worker and traveling internationally and bringing that to powerlifting. And Ireland, I'm sure, is glad too, man. They got one. They got one with Lissus. They got a star on the rise.
Yeah.
And there's the 84 women, and also Mara Howden of Canada with a 5:07.5, taking the bronze medal for Canada. We'll take it. I'll tell you that right now. We'll take those 8 points. And if you're wondering how the points ended up, well, Team France with a dominating 54 points. Team Italy coming in second with 46. Great Britain with 41. Canada in fourth with 28. Now we're at a pretty big drop after the top three. USA with 28, tying with Canada. Canada breaking that tie. We have more golds. We had 2 golds. They have 2 silvers. And then Ireland with number 6. Now that's where those 12 points from Listus came in handy. Sweden 7, Germany 8, in the Philippines 9, and the Netherlands coming in 10th. And in terms of the best lifter awards, Samantha Eugenie from France, Ludovine, the 63 from France, and then Alba Bolstrom from Sweden, third best lifter of the World Championships. And there you have it. In the previous podcast, we kind of broke down what nations were emerging and crunched the stats, the points by the nations from this worlds in comparison to previous worlds, blah, blah, blah. If you want to get into those conversations, double back and listen to that podcast. Me and Rory nerd out for like 90 minutes, using numbers and stats to try to see who's going to emerge as the next nation coming up. But there's the World Championships. Before we sign off, I'll leave it to you for any sub juniors that might have popped out to you as I quickly scroll over to the sub juniors. I spy with my little eye Julie Kostian of Finland, 63, with a 431.5 world record total in the 63s. That's somebody that would stand out to me. And Luella Bowden from USA with a 121 bench press, 578.5 and 84 pluses. And she's also somebody else that I think everybody should keep an eye on, that she's another standout lifter there. If there's any others that pop out, it's difficult when it's the sub juniors. You're trying to pace them for juniors and open.
Yeah. So another name, you mentioned Luella, but also Chelsea and Emma of the United States in the 84 plus did a really fantastic job. But then what was a really exciting session, actually one of the only ones I missed, and I came in right during the deadlifts, and I was like, man, there's no good sessions to miss, are there? Was the 57 sub juniors, which I'm sure Elias can tell you about.
It was, yeah. I think this was the most intense ending of a session I did. Unfortunately, Amelia was not there. It was like world records were being tossed out all the time, and then unfolding in the deadlifts, we saw an 164 deadlift from Canada. We saw 172.5 from Eleni and 173 kilos from Chloe Tang from Singapore. Wow. I think I was really impressed by the come up of Singapore. I know we were talking about nations on the rise. I think Singapore has, like, the come up of these lifters has been phenomenal. And if I go back just like 1 year to South Africa, I remember Farhana pulling the world record back then in the 52s, I believe. Yeah, now it's Evie's. Evie broke it in Sheffield. But Farhana, I think she is like a key player in the come up of Singapore now, just as Pana was in France. So really excited to see the next few years for Singapore. Can we see like a major come up just like we saw in France? Let's see.
I was wondering that, and it's funny because kind of trains Farhana.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I know it's kind of funny. It's kind of passing the torch, and she's doing the same thing for Singapore. But yeah, man, you need a star to emerge. More than likely in the open, a lot of people watch the open, and when you do something crazy like Farhana's, I know when Farhana broke that world record deadlift and she did a beltless, some people like deadlifting beltless. I shared that, and that post absolutely blew up. I mean, the likes and the amount of shares on it was insane. And I remember I still get notifications on it now for people thinking like, well, how much, like, for people thinking like, how much could it have impacted? She broke a deadlift world record as a 52. How much could that impact what's going on in Singapore? My friends, when things blow up on social media, it gains traction and it does. This is what we see is that tidal wave come in. It was huge, and that's from a year ago. So as the year passes, now young people are like, hey, let me try this. This seems cool. What's this sport? And all of a sudden they start popping up in juniors. And let's see when these juniors progress further into juniors, from sub juniors to juniors, and then juniors to the open. This is how you start getting the ball rolling. And we'll see what happens in Asia as a whole. Obviously, Team Japan. We got other Asian nations that are very strong as well. I would love if the Asian championships becomes like the European championships, and all of a sudden it's competitive like that, or at the very least, if not Euros, they become competitive enough that they have some, like at the junior level, or at least threats for the podium. The stronger we are globally, the better. But yeah, Singapore did a great job in these juniors. But all right, well, thank you, Amelia. Thank you, Elias. You guys did an amazing job at both of these preview shows, and we got to do it again. If I see you at these World Championships, I'll see you there. But regardless, we got to do another podcast, whether it's preview shows, recap shows, whatever. We'll do a group chat. We'll stay in touch. I think you guys knocked it out the park, and this was a phenomenal job. And for everybody listening, again, whatever platform you're listening on, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and post up your comments in the mentions. Tag me, Amelia, Elias, King of Lifts, whatever. It's difficult when it's King of Lifts sometimes because we get a lot of tags, so I won't always see it. But if I see it, I promise I'll respond, and we could debate up in the stories if you like. And until next time, six pack Lapadat, 6 up, and we are out.